Hey guys, it's Chase here on Gemmy Master Animatronics, and today what I have for you is the Gemmy 2009 Halloween life-size animated green sock Cauldron Witch. This is an item that was sold at Lowe's exclusively, I believe, and it is one of two sock Cauldron Witches that Gemmy did. They made a green one and a pink one. Now this is the United States version, however there is a pink sock version which I believe was sold in Canada. Yeah, not I believe. I know it was sold in Canada. And so both of these are hard to find. It's kind of debatable which one you'd say is harder to find because it's very hard to find this item in the US and in Canada. It's obviously harder to find this one in Canada. But it's hard for us people that live in the United States to find the pink sock one, and it's hard for people that live in Canada to find the green sock one. So it's kind of debatable how hard it is to find. But this is definitely one of the harder Cauldron Witches to find, and there's a few videos of it on YouTube, but I haven't really seen a review yet, just a few activations. So this one was, to my knowledge, brand new. It did have some issues, cosmetically absolutely none. It's perfect, it still is perfect cosmetically, but the head tilting and the cauldron did not turn. And those are two very common issues that these Cauldron Witches seem to have. It doesn't matter the model that you have. If you have a Cauldron Witch that has a stirring cauldron or head bobbing, it probably had a gear replaced at some point because for whatever reason those mechanisms just don't seem to last. Everything else seems to be fine on it, and I was surprised that the eyes still work on this one because from my experience the eyes also seem to go bad on these witches, and it really just seems to be the witches because every other life size I've had with moving eyes and all that seems to have pretty good gears except my Graves, but that one has a split gear and it still moves, it just has a split gear on it. But yeah, this one was, I guess, like I said, brand new. You can see the box is in pretty good shape. It was initially shipped without a double box, and then it was shipped to me in a double box. So when it was first picked up, the box was perfect. But it was shipped without a double box, and so there's a little bit of wear on it now. But overall, it's still one of my better boxes that I have. Obviously, I prefer to have the box in this condition than just not to have it at all. And again, it's in very good shape. All the decals and everything's still there. There's just some minor scuffs overall. But I mean, to ask for a box from 2009, a box, a cardboard box, to be still perfect that was from 2009 is, kind of a lot to ask for. So I'm still very happy in the condition that it's in. So I did a restoration video on this witch. Even though there was only two things wrong with this, I was still able to do a pretty decently long video, kind of step to step on how I repair these items. Not really, like a how-to, because I had to cut out a bunch of stuff in order to post it, because of like copyrighted music. But I still showed my process on how I fix these things. I'm sure it's no different than anybody else, but I did do a little restoration video on it, so now it fully works. The cauldron, when I first repaired it, would get stuck at times. Now it doesn't do that, but at the time, when I put the new gear in, it seemed to be working totally fine, and then I added the stick, still fine. Then came the hands, and that's when all hell broke loose. I added those hands on, and once the hands would extend, once the stick would get to like the center point or like the edge of the cauldron, whatever, where the hands are now being pulled, it would just completely stop. It would, you could kind of smell the motor, a little bit overheating, because when the motor is being sent power and it can't move, it tends to have like a burning smell, and that's not good for the motor, and it's not good for the board neither, because you're going to heat up the transistors that are running that motor too, because there's power, but it just has nowhere to go. So that was an issue that I had, and I really didn't do anything to it to remedy that. I opened the cauldron up like 5 different times to kind of, actually more than that. I probably at least like 7 or 8 times, but I opened it up a bunch of times. I didn't do anything with the gears or nothing like that. I didn't do anything with the actual mechanism, but there are a few pieces in there that were loose, some were tight, and I just kind of unscrewed a little bit the tight ones and re-screwed the loose ones and everything in between, and eventually I got a decent result. Now, usually when I repair these things and it just doesn't go according to plan, something still doesn't work on it, I usually start to dislike the item, but this is not one of those ones, because if you go on YouTube, there are a lot of different examples of this model of the Cauldron Witch just not stirring the cauldron that's supposed to. Not necessarily videos of it getting stuck. There are a few of just Cauldron Witches in general getting stuck, but not necessarily with this model. But there are a few examples of the cauldron spinning around, but it's very choppy, just not smooth out as it's supposed to be. And really that's just because of how heavy the arms are, and just they aren't long enough. When the cauldron is spun in the complete opposite direction of the arms, it wants to pull them, which bends the stick, and it flexes the plate that moves around, which, you know, pushes it up against the cauldron. It's a whole thing, and it's very annoying, but it's just the way this one's designed. However, I've gotten it in a position right now where as long as the cauldron is right up against the witch's base, and I mean like literally touching it, it won't get stuck. It'll still move. It just will slow down in some areas, which to me, it's better than nothing. And again, I'm not too upset about it because there's nothing really I can do. I know that it's just supposed to be, it's not supposed to be like this, but it's just the way it was designed, which is kind of crappy, but you know, what can you do? I think in the next, you know, couple of months, I'll probably go on eBay to see if I can find a replacement cauldron altogether, just so I can test a few on this one. I do have a Sarah the Sassy Witch cauldron, which I had to repair, and her arms are very, they're very lightweight, so it's able to turn around, but the cauldron's able to spin around with no problems whatsoever, but the connections are very different. So if I plugged in the cauldron on this one from Sarah, it wouldn't do anything. So I don't really have any other way to test to see if any other cauldron will work fine on this. But again, to my knowledge, this is just how it's, you know, it's going to be. Nothing really I can do or anybody else can do. It's just kind of the way it was designed. But with all that aside, like I said, it does fully work now. It's perfect in cosmetic shape. I think this is probably one of the best Cauldron Witches I've had, and not just because of the model, but just overall looking condition. At this point, I've had about 4 different Cauldron Witches. I've had the original, or not the original, I've had the 2010 model, I've had the Flaming Cauldron Witch, I've had Sarah the Sassy Witch, and now I have this one. And I still have 3 of those Cauldron Witches. I only got rid of my 2010 one, and I do regret that. I want to get that one back so bad, because that one was just such a nice one. All the movements on it were perfect. It looked great. I did a full restoration on that one also. I think it actually had the same exact problems as this one had. The cauldron and the head did not tilt. I think there might have been something else wrong with it, but I mean, once I got it fixed, it worked great. So this item has 5 different movements. She's got eye turn, mouth movement, head bob. She dances back and forth, and she stirs her cauldron, along with a mister and the cauldron, which does work. I have tested it. I won't have it running for this video because it is an absolute pain to dump all the water out and clean it. So there's a lot of videos of the cauldron, you know, working in different videos. So you guys can go check that out if you guys want to see it. This is no different than any other Cauldron Witch. It's just got that red mist maker, so it's not really different at all. But yeah, I think that's about it. I will go ahead and get an up close look at this so you guys can see any details that this might have. It doesn't have, well, I won't say it doesn't have a lot of details. There are, you know, some details on it, but overall it's just a bunch of green spiderweb patterning, and then, you know, you've got a difference in hat. But other than that, it's pretty, it's basically the same thing as a regular Cauldron Witch, just a different change of clothes. But yeah, guys, we will go ahead and get an up close look at this, and then I will go ahead and activate it for you guys. Alright guys, so here she is up close. As you can see, she's got a lot of different features about her that kind of separate her from other Cauldron Witches, so we'll just go ahead and do an overall look of her. Starting with the hat, I don't know how many have a hat like this. I know that a lot of them tend to have a metal wire in the hat. However, this one's just a very thick fabric, so it arguably doesn't need one. I still think it'd be nice if it had one, but you know, other people have said that it really doesn't need one because of how thick it is. But again, without having the wire in there, you're getting some bending in the back. But then again, you know, this is a witch, something that she probably wouldn't care about, like keeping all her clothing or hat like looking nice, because again, she's a witch, so I guess it kind of makes sense how like the hat would look pretty beat up, but it still does look nice, and I do love the detailing on it. I know with some of the Cauldron Witches, I think there's a spider that's supposed to be on top of here. However, they replaced it with this green-looking rose, so that's nice. And the hat is a very good material. I mean, this would, like, I mean, I wouldn't wear this because I wouldn't dress up as a witch, but if I did, I would wear this because it seems like it'd be a comfortable material. So this is a very good material, very thick. So props to Gemmy on that. It looks very nice. Down here, I guess no, we'll go over the face. The face is just pretty much a regular Cauldron Witch face. I know over the years they changed a little bit, but after I think 2009 or 10, they kind of got a overall change of the face, but it still looks pretty much the same. There's just some slight differences, but this kind of face is the one I prefer overall. I love this one, and again, it's because I had the 2010 Witch, so I'm just so used to this face, but I love the face on this one. And this is the same face I think that a lot of the witches with the trays, like the porch greeter witches or whatever, had this kind of face. So again, it's the kind that I grew up with. The hair is again a pretty nice material. I don't foresee this hair tangling anytime soon. Again, I know this one was basically brand new, but like, this is a very nice material for hair. And it's not too short, it's not too long. It would be pretty easy to keep this hair in good shape, I'd say. I don't see any signs of it, starting to tangle or anything. Even the back is where it starts to, but it still looks pretty good. It's a little bit frizzy, but overall the hair seems to be in perfect shape, and I don't see why it wouldn't maintain in this shape. So I don't think the hair is something that you'd have to worry about when buying one of these witches. And that is always a worry, because it's never fun to receive a Gemmy item with tangled hair, because it doesn't look nice and it's kind of a pain to untangle it all. Here's the clothing. We're seeing the same spiderweb, or not the same. I was thinking up there. Actually, this might have that same spiderweb decal. It's just all kind of bunched up so you can't tell. But we're seeing the same green coloring that we have on the rose and the hat. It's just a spiderweb design that goes all the way around. The fabric is actually stitched up here to kind of cover this inflatable fabric that you have right here, which has stuffing in it, which gives the arms. It makes them look more human because there's no wire or anything. There's nothing in these arms. I know typically with the live sizes you'll have a metal wire with kind of like not really a pool noodle, but you have foam in the shape of a pool noodle around that to kind of give the arms some fat onto them. But you can't do it with this one because if it's too stiff, the cauldron won't spin. So they did a good job substituting that with, I guess, stuffing, so that looks good. But a lot of the times this comes unstitched and the arms just kind of roll back, or the fabric rolls back, and so you just see black arms, which is not very presentable. So it's good that they stitched it like that. And I'm sure all of them come like that, but I guess a lot of them just do come unstitched over time. The hands have some detail on them. They're okay. I think that the paint job could have been a little bit better on this one. On the hand right here, it seemed to be okay. We see some more purple and some more darker coloring on here, but I mean, these are veins that are popping out. You're gonna want to have more color on here. And the nails, they just have black on them, so no complaints there. But really, just I wish there was a little bit more detailing on the hands instead of it just being green like that. But overall, I'd say it's still pretty well detailed, and you got some of the creases and stuff on the hands, which is always nice. Even in the back right here, you still have them painted, even though you can't see them. It's still nice to have them painted. Down here, we have a buckle, which was pretty tangled up when I got it. So I had to go through and untangle all the fabric on that. But now it's all straight. You can try and, separate this and pull it apart, but it's just going to get scrunched up again over time, so it's not really worth it. But it still is pretty thick the way I have it, so, and it should stay that way too. The clothing does like to get knotted up at the top because of how tight this belt can be, so you want to pull that down, otherwise the collapsing neck might be exposed. Down here you can see the dress is all kind of cut up, and I really like that. I don't know if I prefer this, and it's definitely a different look than what we're used to, which is always nice to change it up like this. And not necessarily for the better, but not necessarily for the worst neither, so I think it still looks good. You can see we have the green socks down here, and you guys will have to let me know. I don't know if this is just a defect on mine or if it's supposed to be like this, but I can't imagine they would want to have the metal wiring sticking out like this. It could have very well be fit inside the shoe here, and there's no way I could get that off without like undoing the base and like unscrewing the poles and feeding everything back through, because there's no like Velcro or anything on this to, you know, to get it undone. So I'd have to do all that, which I'm not going to do. The metal poles are still, sorry, not the metal poles. The metal poles are in here, but the rods are still pretty well hidden, and it's like this on the other side too, so it doesn't really bother me. You can see the shoes right here are not actually stuffed. They have packing material plastic in them, which keeps its shape, which is nice. I like it like that, but if you get one that's brand new, it's going to be scrunched and kind of flexed down like this from being in the box for so long, so there's not really much you can do about that. But I still like that they have the plastic in here, so it gives them more of a shape rather than just stuffing the shoes. And the legs do have a bit of stuffing in them, which is nice as well, and it does hide the poles well as well. It hides the poles very nicely. You can see the poles in here, and you can see where it's stuffed. You've just got the liner black inflatable fabric that houses all the stuffing, and the clothing is just long enough to hide it. So that's why I was saying if it gets hung up on here, then you're probably going to see the clothes, which is, or not the clothes, you're probably going to see the metal poles in here, which is, you know, it's not really presentable like that. But as long as you have it pulled down enough, then it'll be fine. Here's the base. You can see that this is one of the ones that does take two adapters. You've got the 24-volt plug-in right there. You've got a Try-Me, and then you have a 9-volt, 2,000 milliamps. And then you have a on and then sensor. And then you can see right here where it would have said microphone, but they have that covering it. And then on the other side, you have your volume control, and that might be on the other side. Yeah, because the other ports are not taken up, so you've just got volume right there. And she does get rather loud, but I have her turned down pretty well right now. Here's the box. You can see it is still in pretty good shape. All the decalings are essentially perfect on this. There's just some, you know, minor scuffing, which is expected over the years. In the box, I have the box inserts in here. You can see there is the cord for the mist maker. You have the bag for her head and the original instructions. So that's always nice to have the box inserts for that. And her head was in this box right here. And then it's the same on this side and on the back for the decals. So overall, the box is in good shape. I would say great shape even. And she does have her box insert, which is great. So yeah, guys, we will go ahead and get her activated. Alright guys, so I have her plugged in right now. She's got a few different ways to activate her. She's got of course, a button on the base. She's got a sound sensor, a motion sensor, and she's got a Try Me button jack on her, which is very useful. I love animatronics that have a Try Me port on them because it is so much easier, and overall I like it more when people are expected to step on a Try Me button or a step pad or something, as opposed to stepping on the base of the item, because it makes the base all dirty and it can wear down the button over time. And overall, I mean, especially with this item, it's kind of, it's kind of hard to expect people to know that there's a button on the base because it's hidden behind the Cauldron. I love that it still has the button, but it just doesn't really make sense why it was still there, because you literally have to like step to the side to push the button. But I still do like that it has the button on the base. Anyways, guys, we'll go ahead and activate her. I think she's got, like 4 or 5 different phrases, so she's got a good deal. And they're all, of course, the original Cauldron Witch phrases, which I love. So we will go ahead and activate her for you guys.
Double, double, Cauldron bubble. Come in here and you're in trouble.
So you can see her animations work pretty well. Like I said, the Cauldron does tend to slow around when she turns her stick the other way. The second stir, it seems to slow down. I mean, depending on which way she's doing it, but It does not get stuck anymore, and that was the whole thing. So even if it does slow down in some areas, I'm still fine with it as long as it's not completely stopping.
Just in time for dinner! What a delicious looking person! That's right. Closer. Closer.
I do have her volume turned down quite a bit because she does tend to blare when you have it turned all the way up, and she's got very good sound quality on her. It's just that a lot of people like to turn up the volume. So any item that has pretty good sound quality, I tend to keep the volume on the low so it still sounds great. Any item that's already like super compressed and has like super distorted audio, I don't really care. I'll turn it up however much. But for this item, it actually does have very good sound quality. So I like to keep it on the lower side of volume.
Eye of newt, toe of bat, nose of frog, tail of cat, oil, fire, fire, fire!
High pitch, it's definitely a lot higher pitch than my old one was. So I don't know if this is considered high pitch or regular pitch or whatever, but it does seem to be a little bit on the higher side than the other Cauldron witches that you'll find.
Double, double, cauldron bubble. Come in here and you're in trouble.
I think that was the last phrase, but just to be on the safe side, I will play it one more time.
Just in time for dinner.
I'm honestly not sure if that was the last one or not. I'm gonna play her one more time just to be sure. I do not remember how many phrases she has.
What a delicious looking person.
Alright, so by now we definitely run through all of them. So yeah, guys, that's pretty much it. Really hope you guys enjoyed. I love this item. It's awesome. Definitely one of my favorite Cauldron witches. One of. I still prefer the 2010 one that was like sold at, I think it was sold at some party stores and online everywhere. Just, it's a fairly common one, but I still prefer that one because that one was my first Cauldron witch, and overall I think it looks, maybe not the best, but it looks pretty cool. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Really hope you guys enjoyed. If you can find this one, I highly recommend it, other than the fact that the Cauldron sucks on this one. And, well, not really the Cauldron, just overall the whole stirring, with the arms and the way the mechanism in the Cauldron is. Like, they're all pretty bad, but this one seems to be the worst of them, so. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Really hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys again next time.
Double, double, cauldron bubble. Come in here and you're in